Hey everyone, what's going on? It's me, Corey. Welcome back to That Comic Show. Man, oh man, it has been a year. It's been a year. It's been a year since I've seen you, talked to you, conversate with you. It's good to be back. What has happened in this past year? Well, I'm a Lego master.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're...
That's right. I was on the first season of Lego Masters here in the US. And I was on a season of Buddy vs. Christmas alongside my brother for both seasons.
Just see those sleigh bells jingle and ring, tingle, tingling too. Ring, 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 ding, come on.
But enough about me. It's all about Wandavision. Now, WandaVision just wrapped up, and man, oh man, what a season that we just received. What a series. What a way to kick off Phase 4 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, we learned a lot of stuff about Wanda and about Vision. We learned about her power, we learned about her background, we learned about her story. And we learned that there are some mischievous, and other crazy characters in the MCU. So what were the 5 things that we learned from WandaVision? Well, let's talk about it. Number 1, Agatha Heartless. She is a witch, so that means witches are part of the cinematic universe. Now remember, we're getting Blade very soon, and Blade is part of that dark era in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We also received some of this stuff in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with the Darkhold. A little different, but we still received some type of crazy spookiness. Now it's confirmed that the Salem witch trials took place in Pennsylvania, in Connecticut, and is real in the cinematic universe. And Agatha made sure that she stamped her notice that she is the witch of all witches, until the Scarlet Witch presented herself. And let's talk about that. Scarlet Witch. Now, we learned that witches exist, and we learned that witches are born. In this case, when it comes to Wanda, she is also a witch, and she is born a witch. So I think what they're doing as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're separating the whole mutant aspect of her powers and sticking to the fact that she is a natural born witch. And we still have some unanswered questions, which is cool, because guess what? That's what a comic book does. It tells you just a little bit, give you just a little bit to tug on, so that you keep on pulling that thread. And as you pull in that thread, well, the sweater comes unraveled. So that's what we're waiting for. Number 2, the X-Men. Now, because of the fact that we saw Evan Peters in the role of Quicksilver, we have a lot of unanswered questions. We saw the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe, and he's in this universe. Now before, at least for me, I was in the mindset that, all right, the X-Men are here, she's going to bring the X-Men. It's a reverse M type of situation where instead of destroying all the X-Men and all the mutants, she brings forth the mutants.
Previously on X-Men.
I still think that's a possibility. I think that these mutants survive and exist in an alternate universe, in an alternate timeline. And I think because of the fact that she is a Nexus character, she being Wanda, she's able to live in multiple types of multiverses. Madness, Doctor Strange. You see where I'm going, right? Alright, I'm glad that you're with me. Now, what's so awesome about this is that we have a confirmation from before that the Fox universe is now part of the MCU. And we are going to get these characters. Now, do they go ahead and just wipe away all the characters from before? I don't think so. I think they're going to pull some of the characters in that way that fans like myself would see those characters and say, I got you. I see what you're doing there, Marvel. But that's what I'm thinking. And because of the fact that we saw this speedster here in the universe, and then we saw her children develop powers, well, it's not far-fetched. And if you watch the very last episode, at the end credit, when she's going through that dark hole and she's learning and she's absorbing this knowledge, she hears her children. That means that her children still exist. Now, her children could be figments of her imagination, or she could have conjured up these kids in real life. Something to think about. Number 3, what happened during the blip? Now, there's something that happened during the blip, obviously, right? Those 5 years. From what we've learned from Sword, they have been doing all types of stuff in between the 5 years to keep things going smoothly. Now, what are those things? Maybe there were threats in between those 5 years. Who knows? Maybe they were trying to figure out how on earth are we going to get Vision back up and running and have him be one of these Avengers that's going out there saving the world. Now, remember, the Vision that we saw, which was all white, is a blank slate of a Vision. Now, they decided to build this Vision because they wanted to use him as a weapon. Why? Why would they need him as a weapon? Is it only because of Wanda, or is there something else afoot that's coming? Now remember, we're going to get Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up very soon, and there are a lot of characters that's going to be popping up. And all of this stuff takes place after the blip. But we get a nice little explanation of what occurred during the blip. Now remember, Wanda disappeared during the blip, so she wasn't around. But there were still people trying to get things put in motion, and there were still people trying to get things done. So it gave us a little bit more of what happened during the blip. And I think that's really cool. Monica Rambeau's character, her mother was alive. So we need to see what happened to her mother before she passed away. Maybe her mother didn't pass away. Maybe her mother went right back up into space. Remember, at the end of WandaVision, the scroll comes up and say, hey, old man want to talk to you. Who's the old man? Well, obviously it's Nick Fury. Number 4, Wanda. We learned so much about Wanda from the time she was a little girl in Sokovia, and she got, the rocket came in, blew her and her brother to the side, killed her parents, and they talked about that in Age of Ultron, where they waited for Tony Stark to kill them, which was his rocket. Now, the rocket that Tony Stark sent, or well, not Tony Stark, but Tony Stark's equipment, is a dud. Tony Stark doesn't make duds. So there was something more to that scene where we have to look a little deeper. But as we continue to go, we start to see how the Mind Stone interacts with people. Now, the Mind Stone did the same thing with Loki. If you remember Avengers, when Loki had the staff and then Loki would close his eyes and then all of a sudden he is in front of Thanos. Now, that is an awesome Easter egg, and that's an awesome thing to remember about that Mind Stone and how powerful that Mind Stone is. Remember, when Thanos took the Mind Stone out of Vision, look where he placed the Mind Stone when it comes to that gauntlet. It is taking the chief position in the middle, in the center of that gauntlet. That means that Mind Stone controls everything. That goes to tell you that that Mind Stone is the most powerful stone out of all of the 6 Infinity Stones. They don't do these things by accident. Marvel don't do these things by accident. Now, keep in mind, once again, what we see in Wanda's story from the time she was a little girl all the way to the point of this particular time in her life. She has suffered loss. She has suffered regret. She is a broken character. But we never saw her become the Scarlet Witch in any of these instances. Though she looked like it, though we knew she was going to be the Scarlet Witch, they never really crowned her the Scarlet Witch until this episode. And by her becoming that Scarlet Witch was just telling fans, listen, you guys have been rocking with us for about 6-7 years with this character. You guys waited, you guys were patient, and now this is what we have. I think because of this past year with the pandemic, it gave Marvel a chance to do something different and to do something that I believe is better than just telling one movie. To make this series make sense and make the world make sense, we needed a full series, and we got that. And before, we didn't know what we were watching up until the final episode, and that is exactly what a comic book does. You read the first issue, you don't really understand what the first issue is about until you keep collecting the next issue, then the next issue, and by the time you get to the last issue, you have you have an idea of what is in store, and then they leave you on a cliffhanger. That is exactly what they did. We see Wanda embracing the Scarlet Witch persona, and she is learning about the dark magic. Now, again, a lot of people have been saying this, and I'm going to agree. In the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2, the villain of that movie is going to be Wanda. Wanda is going to lose herself in that dark hole. She is going to lose herself when it comes to who she is as a person. And then that is when Vision is going to come to get her out of that. Maybe. But we have to wait and find out. And the last thing that we learned. Where are we in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? We are literally after the snap, and now we're telling brand new stories. We're not going backwards, we're going forward. But there's certain characters that we need to know a little bit more about. I'm looking forward to Winter Soldier and Falcon, because now we get to know a little bit more about Falcon. In fact, we get to learn even more about the two of them as a dynamic. We saw them in Civil War, and just their banter is enough to warrant a series, and I'm so excited. And remember, we still have Old Man Cap around. Captain America is still around as an old man. He's not dead. So hopefully he's still alive, because there'll be great stories to tell with an old man Captain America, but I digress. What did we learn going forward? We're dealing with a brand new universe. We have a universe now that Spider-Man is revealed to be Peter Parker, Wanda is revealed to be Scarlet Witch, and she kept this entire place under her thumb, and now these people know who she is. Sword is a bigger threat now, or an ally, we don't know. Oh, man, what else? Nick Fury is still around, he's still calling shots. Now, what are we going to get? And remember, the Skrulls are still around too. Even though the Skrulls are good guys, there are some bad ones too. And who knows what kind of strings they're pulling and masquerading as whomever. I'm so excited for what Marvel is getting ready to do. I'm so excited for what we're going to get now. WandaVision is done. We have an idea of this character as Scarlet Witch. We have an idea that Vision is still around. And we have an idea that mutants are still a thing. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Keep in mind that March 19th is the next installment of these series. And we got so much more coming up. I'm excited. We're back. That comic show is back. Just to give you guys a reminder, on Sundays we have a live panel discussion. This week we have some real cool guys coming on to talk about some good Marvel stuff, and we're going to talk about WandaVision and what we thought of the series. Take care, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for joining me. And until then, Sam's out.
Wandavision.